And you know what else I would tell a younger person? Totally off. But I would yell at them so that they know what it's like to be yelled at.
Okay, so I have an opening question. It might be a dorky question, but it could maybe start a conversation. If you could give, whether it's advice or just like few bullet points for someone younger than you, someone your age, and then someone older than you. I want to do this question because you're older than us and not just like us both having the same kind of age discrepancies.
I mean, we each have to give.
Yeah, like what would be some advice that you'd give to someone, you know, younger than you, and that could be any age, that could be in the 40s or whatever, the same age as you, and then someone older than you.
I think older's the easy one. Because
really? That was the harder
one.
Like
the oldest one, it's like, just do whatever you want to do. Like, you've lived long enough. Just...
How old is older?
75.
Oh, so my advice would be totally different.
Because it could be anybody older than us, so it could be...
Oh, I thought you meant like a young person, medium person, old person.
No, that's why I wanted to do it in this conversation, because then it's like anybody older than us, that's going to be a different age category than you older, or like what his age would be for what our age is going to be.
Oh, okay.
We kind of have like a different viewpoint on those three, from us being closer to being the younger age.
Gotcha.
I think somebody my own age is the hardest. For somebody younger, I would say as soon as you get your first real job, like not your high school job, start investing.
Okay.
Start putting money away for your retirement. I know that seems it's going to be 50, 60 years from now, but knowing what I know now that I didn't know then, I wish I would have.
That's something that I hear so much, especially in my industry, where it's like you don't really get a retirement with companies that you work for, is the conversation around that is like, well, they don't have any money to put it in.
Yeah,
but it's like,
hard.
What? They don't have $10 a month? They don't have $50 a month?
$50 a month.
I guarantee people that age group, you're spending that going out or buying stupid crap or going out with your friends. Like, I remember having that conversation with somebody, and someone else was commenting on like a person in that age group, like they wouldn't have any money at that. I'm like, he's literally drinking a $10 drink right now.
Yeah.
He could, like, how many times is he doing that? Do it one last time, and you could put that into your retirement
because
account.
When you're that age, you don't think about retirement.
Because I think that's also the excuse that people are given is like, well, you can't. Like, you just need to focus on making money, and you don't have enough money. It's like, no, you actually probably do, because you have no responsibilities either. Like, all your money is for whatever you want, and you can skimp on so many other stuff because you don't know any different.
Well, and that's like, I think people don't think about the $10 drink.
Right.
No.
They don't think of that as like, well,
or the $100 jeans.
Yeah, I could put that towards it. It's just like, well, I don't have any money, and like you said, then they're sitting there drinking a $10 drink. Or how many people we know that spend almost $200 a month just on clothes
consistently?
Yeah, or a TV subscription or whatever else, like spending it on video games and stuff. It's like you could put that money into something for your future. That's a good one because
that's a great one,
especially like at the position that you're at. It's like you do get to see how impactful it is.
If I had a normal job, I'd still have 15 years to work.
Yeah.
Well, and what, would your retirement even be that good?
Whatever I did for it.
Right. So it's like that. It's so simple for how little you would have to budget for or start putting in to then see it grow. It's like if you're starting it at 18 or 19 like you have to start at 40, 45 and you're like, well, now I got to put $1,000 a month in or $500 a month in. Like that's harder to wrap your head around when you've used to having this amount of money, and now you're like, well, now I just have to save and put it away into something different that I can't touch, versus you start right at 18, 19 and you do it $50 a month. You're going to start not noticing that $50 very quickly, and then you just like, that's just all you know.
Yeah.
And they also say to put it when you're young because you're at such a lower tax rate, especially if you like a Roth.
Oh, yeah.
It's pre-tax, going in post-tax, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Tax on the way in.
After tax, yeah, tax on the way in instead of tax on the way out. Where when you go to draw that at 70, you're going to be in a much higher tax bracket than what you are when you're
and that money going in was
20.
already
Yeah, and so it's already been taxed at your lower income, tax rate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you start at 40, you're going to have to put way more in compared to, you could have just done $50 probably your whole 20s and 30s, and you just keep doing that. That's going to grow so much rather than the
and then you're creating
40.
the behavior around it, where it's like, it's no different than when you're that age, learning just how to pay bills and do that responsibly and on time and with the correct amount and all that. That would just be like another thing you get used to doing.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. What did you learn about this in high school?
Well, right.
You didn't.
Nothing. Yeah.
You didn't. I mean, I even took an accounting class.
So did I.
took a business class.
It was all like doing ledgers for businesses, like a business account. It had nothing to do with personal finance. You guys kind of had that thing in high school where you had in the gym, where you had to go
Career day.
Yeah. Which I think that was cool because it showed you, money doesn't stretch very far.
Yeah, totally.
Right. I remember going, okay, well, I would probably want a gym membership because that's what I have now. And then I just did like the average, I think, because they give you a list of like, okay, if you're going to be, in the dance industry, this is generally what you're going to make. Now, granted, it was predicted it was so much lower than what it ends up being. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm only working with that amount. How do you... And then we also did a separate project in my class where it was like, okay, if you're going to live in a certain place, budget what your life would be. This is the average rent price. This is what grocery store, this is gas. I'm like, okay, this is not going to be enough money.
I have no money.
So at least
thankfully that wasn't reality, but still.
Though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think most kids even have that.
Well, that was not even a required class. Like, that was an elected class that I took just because I was interested in it. But, yeah, you had to search that out.
There's just not enough taught about it. And there's not enough detail about it. It's like, I don't even know what the goal of high school is, like, anymore. Or at all, or ever did. It's weird to me, the stuff you learn after, and you're like, dang, why didn't we learn this? Why don't we learn that? Especially when it comes to something like money, where it's literally everything. Like, if you don't save or you don't put money away to invest or whatever it is, how are you going to ever retire? How are you ever going to stop working? It's like, we're old enough now that we have people getting older, people dying, that it's like, oh, you can't just keep working till you're 100 years old. So did you put money away to then allow you to not work? And is that being taught in school at all? Like, there's no retirement class or even like retirement, section in the book of like, this is why you need to do this, because look at these people, look at what's happening all around you. You can't work when you're 85. Just doesn't happen a lot of the time. And unless you're in one of these jobs where it gives you a retirement, which is becoming so less and less nowadays.
Yeah, totally, yes.
It's like, how are you going to survive? And I don't know, it's just like, to me, it's so crazy important.
That could be a great advice for that age group too. Like you said, you don't think about it, is thinking beyond your current state. Like, eventually you're gonna maybe want to have a family. Eventually you're going to maybe not want to work. You're gonna eventually maybe want to do these things that you're talking about doing, or not do any of it at all, or you're not going to be physically able to do it. I think when you're in the young brain, you're like, I'll be able to do it for however long I want.
Well, when you're at that age, it's like, I want to get out of my parents' house. I want to buy a new car.
Yep.
I'm sick of driving these old piece of shit cars. I want a new car.
Yeah.
Or I want to buy a house, or you know what I mean?
because those are also projected out to us as like success points.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, well, no.
You're moving up in the world.
Yeah, where I think
You're
there
on
could
track.
be somewhat of also a success point of like setting up for your future, even if you don't know what your future is. Because I think that's what I would maybe, I'm trying to think like that age group, what would they, like reasons for not wanting to do that. And I think just most kids don't know what they want and they want to set it up for what they think they're currently doing. But almost like just give yourself safety nets of, just in case shit hits the fan, I want to give myself options, and just seeing them as options versus like I have to stick with this now, or I can't do this job, or I can't find a job that gives me retirement because I already have it set up.
Right.
That just for
and I
allowing
think
for the
for
flexibility.
most kids, that would be like kids your age, or maybe Kara's age, just out of college.
Yeah.
And if you didn't go to college and you wanted to be like electrician in a trades, you should be doing that from day one at that job, because most likely you're still living at home.
Yeah.
And all you're spending your money on is yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take 10% of your paycheck
Yeah.
and get it in early. And then when you settle down, have a family, or get a wife, have kids, now you maybe cut back on that. You're probably making more then.
You have
so
a
could
head
probably-
start
yeah,
with it, and
right.
then you can, like you said, you can cut back on it. It seems like there's a culture change though too of like, it used to be you go to college or right out of high school you get a job because you're going to get married and you're going to have a family and you're going to have to provide for that family,
Within
and then you're
the
going to buy
next
a
5
house.
years.
Right. To where now it was so much more preparing and setting up for the future because these things were coming. To where now it's so much like, well, I just want to do what I want to do, and I'm not so worried about marriage or, you know, getting a job right away. I'm going to find myself, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That there's no preparation now. They don't want to put the $50 in because they want that $50 for right now, for experiences right now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's fine and dandy, but now you're 10 years down the road and you're 30, and now you're going, well, I kind of want kids and I want a marriage and I want to have a house. And it's like, well, you just spent the last 10 years just spending your money on experiences. What are you going to do now? You don't have any money.
And that's where I think the balance can be, or the understanding of it doesn't take that much to do that.
Especially if you start early.
It's like we're not saying, okay, go put $1,000 every month when you're maybe only making $1,500.
Yeah,
you don't
right.
have anything to
Yeah.
do because I do think you should experience and pay way too much for things. Like when we are paying for rent, and it's like we don't need to be living at any of these places, but it is a part of the maturing process.
But we also don't go out every Friday night and rack up a $200 drinking bill.
This is
and-
our thing, and we're also still doing the other thing. So it's like finding that middle ground that you personally can handle or afford. But like you said, it's funny because it is selfish, but you're being selfish just towards yourself because
Yeah.
you're screwing a future version of you. It's not like you're
Yeah.
messing
and
up
you
with
can't
anything
even
else.
say live within your means because they don't have expenses. So it's like, I can afford to.
Right?
buy
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
You just look
that-
at your bank account, $200. This costs $150.
Right.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I think my
That's a great
younger,
one.
I think my younger one would be like, do what's right and not what the emotions are. Instead of like doing what you're feeling you want to do all the time, try to do more what has been proven already, like the retirement thing.
I think it's so hard when you don't know what's right.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
where you
The
have
life
to
experience.
you have to trust the people that have gone through it,
Sure.
which is
yeah.
also a super difficult task because you're young, you think you can pave your own path, you think you can do things differently and all
know
that kind of stuff.
everything.
Yep. But it's like, I think it would be super valuable to kind
Resist
of
that so
yeah.
bad.
I think it'd be super valuable to try to find, still do, like, if it's career, try to find something that you're going to like and enjoy. But there's also so much of that now where it's like you have to find your passion and this and that. It's like there's just so many people that don't work that way. What's more important to them is just, let me make a living, let me provide for a family, be able to buy a house, do all this stuff. All these people trying to follow a passion, they end up spinning their wheels in the dirt because they think it's a passion, but really they're just seeing other people find their passion and talk about finding their passion. It's just this weird circle where it's like people yelling at each other to find their passion and do what they want to do. So then you're trying to do that, but then it doesn't feel good and nothing's working because you don't make any money, nobody wants to be with you, you don't have any cool things, you're not going up the ladder of those like checkpoints of success, and now you're 30 and what do you have? Because all you want to do is follow a passion that you're really not that passionate about. It's just somebody's been yelling at you or telling you to do that.
Did you feel pressure of that when you were growing up? Like, was
What?
that, like, because we were
told that in high school, like, find what you love to do and go do that.
No, it was you get a job, or you go to college and you get a job, and you, at that point it was, you know, you buy a house, you just settle down.
Yeah.
It wasn't explore the world.
Yeah.
You know, nobody
Yeah.
did that stuff.
yeah.
I think that's where a ton of unhappiness is. Because it's just bad advice. There's so many, the most happy people that I know from school are working the most normal, regular jobs. It's like
Well, and they were
electrician
yep.
or like moving dirt. Like I make 90 to 100 grand already a year, and this is just what I do every day. That's
Where
fine.
didn't they go though? College. And what happens
Yeah.
when you go to college? You start getting this
Yep.
things put in your head, that the grandiose ideas and the.
Yep. Shoot for the stars.
I'd rather
and-
have somebody go in the military and be told you're a piece of shit for 4
Yeah.
years.
Well, like, all those kids that were taking those easy A shop classes, they're
Yeah.
coming right out of high school,
Knowing how to
buying a
weld.
house and buying the new car or the
Yeah.
truck.
Yep.
And it's like, wait, how you're the same age as us, and you seem like you're already 5 years ahead of everybody, but yet 2 weeks ago, like, you were the kid that was messing around and not taking any real classes.
Yeah.
And
Because
you're the only one making real
went
money.
to work for a
Yeah.
place that was a technical skill.
They were in training. They were in college when they were in high
Yeah.
school because they. That I think some of our teachers did start to push a little bit more was the trades, which I think is good. But yeah, we were, and I don't know if that's just a generational. It started to shift that way, or the kids were searching that out, so the teachers were providing that. But yeah, it was definitely a
well, your
shoot for
teachers-
the stars.
Yeah, your teachers were probably my age, maybe a
Yeah.
couple years older.
Yeah. So you would think that that wouldn't have brainwashed them as much.
Right, but I think with maybe not so much Milton, but a lot of school districts, they're cutting all these classes because now they've got to stick with the math, English,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff, and now they're adding all this extra fluff bullshit, and they're taking away from the trades.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how many kids don't have gym class anymore?
Yeah.
Or they cut out the music programs because it's just budget cuts, and the state's not giving the schools enough money anymore, and
Yeah.
I think we're focusing on the wrong thing in schools.
Yeah. And that is,
We were
that is just a spiral down. I don't think we understand, like, development at all. Like, I don't think we understand how we learn or how kids learn. It's like, why would you cut music? Music develops your brain to understand math. So it's like, don't just give more math. No one's
Right.
understanding.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we wonder why kids are obese because
Yeah.
they
No.
don't have gym class.
Gym
They-
class is cut. Yeah.
and even our kids, like, sometimes they don't have 2 recesses anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even
Oh,
that, it's
yeah.
like, you're a kindergartner and you can't even get a full hour between the two
Well,
recesses.
And they will do anything they can to have it be inside now too. They do not
Yeah.
want you to go outside.
yeah.
They'll find any reason to keep you inside. Oh, it's sprinkling out. We can't go outside. It's like
It's too cold.
too
It's too
cold.
warm.
Play equipment is too dangerous now. It's like every little thing.
Yeah, that one I don't. I think maybe I resist it because I just don't typically think that way, but I think if I rewire, I do agree with you of look what works. I think I immediately go to like, well, then that means it's a regular job or basically anything that's not my life. But I think where the consistencies can come back in is, well, what has always worked? Working hard, staying consistent with either people or jobs or your style of work, like taking risks, being smart about it.
I think that's what's kind of lost in that conversation is like the shoot for the stars or follow your passion and be like, I think the fear is that you're not going to be innovative doing that. You're just doing what everybody else has already done. But how do you be innovative if you don't know the basics of that thing to begin with? It's like, how do you be innovative as an engineer? It's like you can't just sit at home and do your passion project at home. It's like you probably have to go be an engineer for 10, 15 years, doing the basics and doing the fundamentals of everything.
Somebody else.
And then you can be innovative outside of that. Towards like everybody's trying to be innovative at home in their little closet, and you have to like pay your dues, kind of thing.
Thank you.
It's like that's how you.
Just where I was going.
That's how you become innovative, and that's how we keep better technology and doing all this type of stuff.
Think about this. You don't walk into a new job or any new situation like, hey, we're going to change everything up. I got a great idea.
Yeah.
So you don't even know what the main thing is
As a
yet.
new guy.
Yeah.
You don't come in here and start ordering people around with your, it's like you said, you pay your dues.
Yeah.
You fit in, and then as you get seniority, time under your belt, then you can start doing these things.
Yes.
Which even that
incrementally
is an old way of thinking of like seniority. It's like, yeah, but that works.
Yeah, that's why we do it that way.
Because people then learn to trust you or know what your motives are, like understanding what kind of person are you, so then when you bring these crazy ideas, we can go, yeah, but he's been pretty consistent, or anything he's tried in the past, like he does put effort in, so let's give this idea a shot. But you also don't know what's new if you don't know what the current original is.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you take it to serious examples of like, go to the military. You're going to have the brand new guy come in. Okay, you're going to be the lead command here.
Right.
Take us into Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Let's see how you do. It's like, no, you want the guy who's been there doing it for a while. But you go to tech companies or anything else, they're all like, oh, we want young blood and the new guy and fresh ideas. It's like, they don't know the ins and outs of the whole operation yet. So when they bring up a new idea, they don't understand this simple little thing to the right. The old guy or the experienced guy is going to be able to go like, that's clearly not going to work. Like, we've already run something similar to this. It's just not going to work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can't do this because A, B, and C, like you said, A, B, and C over here, or where does this lead to down the road where you have no experience at that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at it down in the future. What's the process of this?
Yeah.
And I think, how many kids your age thought they were following their passion? And this could be as simple as, I want to go to lacrosse and study physical therapy. And they got a year in, 2 years in, or maybe even got through college and realized like, oh, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Now this is not my passion. So now you just wasted how much time and how much money, probably your parents' money, on this thing. I mean, I can think of 2 people in our family alone that have done that and totally did something totally different.
Yeah.
Well,
not even close to what it was.
And that's where you look at both sides of, okay, are you not analyzing yourself enough junior, senior year of school to go like, is this even an interest of you? Like, have you looked into this? Have you shadowed under anybody? Have you, like, why would you think that you would have liked this in the first place? So then, is that something? And then the other half of that is, are you blinded so much by this idea that you need to have a passion for something when if you just saw it as a job to make money, that could have been totally suitable. And you put in the time, you took the classes, you got your degree, now you have this job lined up. Why can't that just be okay? Like, I think we automatically think we're a failure if we don't love it all the time.
And there's too much emotion connected to it. Because you went into it going like, oh, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, and I love it. When, like you said, you've never even experienced it yet.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a junior in high school and you haven't done a single thing with it, but you just think it would be cool.
Because what? It makes money, or because it seems cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, do you know yourself? And then, does it need to be a passion, period? I think people that have a passion with what they're doing and they make money off of it, that's like,
good for them.
You got lucky.
Yeah,
and
but
then
also
even that
stop
to like
talking about it.
To like it every time, that's also crazy.
Good bragging.
It's like,
well, that's also just not true.
It's like choose your favorite thing, your favorite activity, your hobby. Now do it every single day. You're still gonna be like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, maybe not today. Today's not the best, but.
But then how many people go, oh, well then I don't like it. Oh, should I not do this job anymore because I don't like it? It's like, well, that should never have been your expectation to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I think that there needs to be more of go shadow or go do the job for, however much time to see if you even like doing it.
You know who probably has it figured out the best? Kids that follow in their parents' professions.
Yeah.
Because they grew up seeing it every day.
Yep.
You know, they see mom come home after whatever mom does. She's a doctor. She's a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use nurse. And she sees what, mom had to work some tough shifts. And, mom came home, sometimes she was crying because of things that she saw and had to do. Or the kid who wants to follow his dad as a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up seeing his dad putting in long hours and not being there for some of these things. It's like, we used to rip on those people, the whole nepotism thing, but
they got a
smart idea.
Well, then you can,
because they're already familiar with it.
Yeah.
And that's like, they go into it having very clear expectations of what this is going to be.
Yes.
They're not shocked.
Well, and I wonder even like genetically something, like if there's anything there too. Like,
why are you in the dance?
Yeah, that's like, I was built into that, but then you go with the wanting to be innovative or whatever. Like, okay, so I'm taking the basic being a dance teacher, being in the dance industry, whatever, and then going, okay, well now this is also decades later from when my mom did it. So what new tools can I use? What avenue do I want to take in this and do something different, but still within the same realm of, I understand what the concepts of this job are. Now let me use the new age systems to benefit it from a different way. Like, I don't want to own my own studio like she did. That work for her. I don't want to do that, but I still want to be within the same line of work. And like you said, I got to see it day in and day out, what maybe the functions of it are, so it's not like surprising, or if something is surprising, I can go and be like, was this happening when you were doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
And then be able to get context.
Ask
Yeah.
questions.
Totally. That's probably the most valuable tool of it all. So it's like you said, the lawyer or the nurse, they have somebody to go talk to because they saw them come home every day from it. That's like, okay, this is happening. Did you ever deal with this? They probably did. And they can probably tell you what they try to do to fix it or make it better or whatever.
And who do you trust more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than your parent who's been there, done that.
Yeah.
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 Or, and even just like, your parent. So you'll be able to know, like, oh, this is something that they really liked. That would make sense with their personality or their character traits. I'm similar, so I'll probably like that too. Or the opposite.
Correct.
Versus someone just...
Well, in that same example, like, oh, I saw my mom or my dad come home every day, tired, stressed. They were maybe mad or
Took
sad.
It out on us.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't want to do that job. That's what that job does to you. I'm not doing that.
Yep.
Or knowing that might be what happens to me, so I need to do things to counteract that, because I still want to do the job, but what can I do to be proactive so that that doesn't just turn into my reality of being the same way?
Yeah.
I think for me, I would say, okay, it's going to sound like it's the opposite of both, but understanding that you're building yourself into a person, but then also like allow time for exploring who you are, and not just like, well, I'm stuck with this, or like, this is the type of person that I want to be, so I want to create that by any means necessary. Even if as you get older, like, that doesn't really align with you anymore, or that doesn't really make sense, or it's not what you want anymore, like, you just still are stubborn with it because for some reason. I think allowing yourself to just like, I'm going to evolve into whatever happens, but you have to put in work to build yourself into the person that you want to be. And I think allowing for just like fuck ups. Just like, it's not going to be perfect all the time.
Stay on track, but allow for
deviation,
backtracks or mistakes.
Yes.
And be yourself along the way.
Because I think for me personally, I think the not allowing mistakes could have held me back a little bit more sometimes, because I like wouldn't have taken risks or done certain things, because that would have maybe challenged me more and showed that I didn't have my shit together all the time. But like, this is the time to do that. There's not an excuse later on, maybe when you're a parent or when you're in your later years. It's like, well, now you're just fucking up. To where early 20s or teens, it's like, well, this is your time to fuck up and figure it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like taking advantage of the
Because
grace
what do you
period.
do from those mistakes? You learn.
You learn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
So
hopefully you learn not to do them again.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, we just had this conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
You make mistakes, you learn from it, you move on. You don't make those mistakes anymore.
And I think
Because now you know, and you've got that, what do they call it, brain memory,
yeah.
that this is how it affected me, and this is how, even if you want to get it down to the emotional level, this is how it affected me, and I don't want to do that again. Like you said, I hated screwing up in dance, and it would just piss me off.
Yeah.
So I just focused on doing it right the first time, because I didn't take criticism well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think allowing for mistakes equals learning versus like mistakes equals failure.
Correct.
It's like, no, that's just you course correcting and understanding things more than what you would have before. And sometimes that comes with mistakes, and sometimes that happens just with learning it. But mistakes doesn't mean that you're messing up. It just means that like you're figuring all of this stuff out.
That's the hard balance. Is like you can't be afraid to fail, but you gotta hate fucking failing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you have to be able to take the risks, but when it doesn't go well, you gotta
Be humble with it.
be humble, and like you gotta not like that so that you change it and fix it and be better. Because if you start to become okay with failing, well, now you're down a slippery slope because
You created a whole bunch of offshoots
Yeah.
from your goal. It's like, well, okay, I can cheat meals. Now you
Yep.
got to cheat meal twice a week. Now you got
yeah,
3
Yeah.
days a week.
yep.
Yeah.
You start settling.
Yeah, right. Settling. There you go.
Yeah.
And you know what else I would tell a younger person totally off? But I would yell at them so that they know what it's like to be yelled at.
I was just thinking about that as I was packing. I grabbed my boot, and for some reason I just grabbed it so stupid, and I grabbed it to where the toe of it came and hit me in the mouth. And I was just thinking like, oh, like I know those moments when like a kid hurts you just because they're being so unaware and they're just flailing themselves around. And I'm like, in that moment, if I'm the parent, I'm gonna flip shit a little bit of like, watch what you're doing, or like, you just hurt me, calm down, whatever you're doing. And I'm thinking like, okay, what is this problem with this gentle parenting? Like that would be aggressive and attacking them. It's like most of the world is going to be aggressive and attacking them. So if I'm like, oh, you hurt me and that wasn't very nice, even though in my head I'm boiling because you just jabbed my
Yes.
lip or you hit my nose or whatever. It's like, yeah, why are you flailing your body around?
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
I just did this yesterday teaching. We were doing one of the things that I'll do is I'll have them all line up and do like the boat pose or plank.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the boat pose, because they're sitting back, I usually just for fun throw a ball back and forth and go down each person. Well, one of the girls, I threw it to her and she just took it and just like threw it over there, and I just went, get out. Just immediately I just went, get out. And then I walked over and grabbed it, and she like started to get up, and I'm like, no, you can stay, but if you do that again, just leave. Like, we're not gonna do that. And I was just afterwards I was like, I maybe could have handled that better. And then I thought, now you saying that, I'm like, no, maybe she should have been told, no, we're not doing this. Like,
Yeah.
Draw a line.
what makes you think you can just, we're doing this back and forth, and it's like everybody's having to hold this position for the whole length of it.
Yeah.
So you throwing it away from me is slowing it down. It's making everybody hold longer.
Selfish.
It's like, this is what these
Selfish.
kids don't know with like the football team or the basketball team thing is, we're going longer now, and it's because of you. Everybody else is going to be pissed at you, so don't be doing that to your team. Like, you're doing this to your team.
Right.
So they just don't get that. It's like, I just throw it over here because it's funny. And I was just like, get out. I walked over and grabbed it. And I'm like, no, you could stay, but you do it again, you're gone.
Now everybody's gonna spend this position longer.
Yeah.
I love pointing that kid out. Or just being like, oh, this sucks. Well, it sucks even more because of blank name.
Well, and she started to get up to leave because I've kicked people out before.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, all of the people around her were like, oh, no, like, he's serious. Like, you're going to
Yeah.
have to leave.
Yeah.
And she started to get up and I'm like, you know what? No, you're fine. But, again...
You're going to hold it
and
for 2
you're done.
minutes. Everybody
Yeah.
else gets up and just looks at you.
Yeah.
I think that scaring kids a little bit helps. Because again, I think it's like, well, now you remember how bad that felt, or like how scary it was in the moment to get snapped at. It's like, if you're just gentle with them all the time.
Well, and it's like you said, the gentle parenting thing, it's like, it's maybe good in theory, but the problem with it that ends up happening is they go out into the real world. The real world doesn't work like that.
They're not going to be, it's not gentle.
So you're not preparing them for going out into the world. You're preparing them for what you're going to be okay with and everybody else that follows this is, which is a small group of people. It's like, you go to Walmart, people are not going to be gentle parenting you at Walmart. Like, they're going to be pissy and in your way, and every negative thing you could ever imagine happens at Walmart. So are you preparing them to go out into the world, or are you just kind of playing this fantasy land of what you want the world to be, so you're going to parent them that way? It's like, it's just, that's not going to end up well. It's not going to work out well.
And where did you learn that from? Sports?
Yeah, sports.
Did you pick a specific coach? Because I can.
Oh, yeah. I mean, almost all of them, too.
Yeah.
Like, to a certain degree. Some of them were worse than others, but, like, most all of them were tough.
And the thing that I can name several, I know my very first one, and it was not my dad or a dad. It wasn't some kid's dad on the team that was a coach.
Yeah.
There was a kid's brother on my team that was the coach, but 25 years older than him.
Sure.
You know, so it was like, there was no like, oh, my kid's plan is my kid's friends, and I got to be nice now. Because if I show favoritism to my son by talking nice to him,
right,
I can't yell at other kids.
Yeah.
It was grab you by the shirt.
Yeah.
You go here and do this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, because I feel like you learn, you kind of like, you're used to maybe your dad yelling at you a couple times, like you grow up with it, so you understand like the discipline or the criticism, but then when somebody else does it that you don't really know, you're like, oh, I haven't figured them out yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's about that.
It's like somebody yelling at you in Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know these people, and they're yelling at me like my dad yells at me or my mom.
And
you're like, they either are murderers and they have guns, or
I fucked up.
Yeah, or they're like totally bluffing and it doesn't matter, but I don't know yet.
And you just automatically at that age, I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Because this is an adult telling me that I screwed up, you know, so they know better than I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's with teaching. I try to be very conscious with how and when I choose to be like that, and most of the time it's just like, this is so beyond, like, you know better and you're just messing around. This is like, you are disrespecting the class, me, yourself, or whatever.
Yeah.
That like, this is, we're so beyond the like, okay, let's just keep it in check. This is too far. You need to be scared straight. Otherwise, this is going to become your new baseline for behavior, or what you think is okay, or what you think is like respectful even. And like, they don't even know, some of them now, because that got pushed way too far. That's like, now they don't even know boundaries. It's like, that's going to screw them up so bad when they get into a job or anyone gives them any sort of rules.
Yeah. But, well, it's like the Jordan Peterson thing. Like, don't let your kids annoy you. It's like, because if they're annoying you, they're probably annoying other people.
Yeah.
And then, like, you have to deal with that. And like you're saying, they keep pushing the boundary then. It's like, now you're just letting this annoying thing go out into the world and annoy other people.
Yeah.
It's not a good
On the
cycle.
flip side of that theory, I think kids should push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
To learn and grow.
Yeah, that's the only way too, I think.
I don't know if it's parents, but seeing this like generational swing, at least from the teacher's perspective, I feel like kids nowadays, we're putting different boundaries on them. It's not, well, we're controlling the situation for you to explore and press it a little bit and learn and like go play on your own and go fend for yourself. Or when we're in, even when we're teaching, like there was one girl that kept dropping when we were doing the planks. It's like we easily could go in there and go, okay, well, let's teach the situation and let's monitor so that no one's yelling at anybody, but that she still learns her lesson. It's like, no, let's let all these kids yell at her.
Yeah.
Because we're only just another voice now. It's like,
correct.
But if all these other kids start getting on her ass and like getting angry at her, it's like, okay, let's see it change. We'll just step back and let kids figure it out and fend for themselves.
Yep.
But then there are some ways where it's like, okay, you're over monitoring the situation, or you're how do I want to say, like, it's not that they're being helicopter parents in ways where they should be allowed to explore, but then in other ways, like, why is your kid running around?
Yeah.
We had we were teaching yesterday, and just this random toddler ran into the room, and we're like, who is this kid? And the mom just came in, still talking to the other person out in the hallway, just picks the kid up and walks out. This kid was on the other side of the room, and the mom didn't say sorry or anything. Like, that's a thing where you need to be monitoring your kid, watching what's going on, because you're in charge of this child that just walked into a room. Now, you're not going to be able to teach your kid maybe at that age to not walk into the room. You should be watching them before they even get to the door.
Exactly. That's called being a parent.
Yeah. So I think they're not watching it some ways, but then in other ways they're like, we got to keep you safe and your emotions can't ever be hurt. It's like,
yeah, it's like you can't. Parents won't let your kids go play on a playground because it's dangerous now. But at home they can be on iPads and I don't know, looking up weird stuff all the time.
It's convenient for the parents.
Yeah. It is. It's just convenient parenting. It's just them making up rules and being able to talk their way in and out of it to just make it easier for them. That's that stupid thing from...
That should be a new, like, title of parenting. Like, helicopter parenting, gentle parenting, convenient parenting.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people are doing.
You know, I grew up in an age where as soon as I could cross the busy roads with my bike, I was gone.
Yeah.
It's like, be home by 8 o'clock or be home when it gets dark, depending on what time of the year.
Go off the streetlights.
Yeah. And I learned on my own. I mean, I pressed boundaries. I did stupid shit.
With no phone.
No. That was part of the good part because I would have been grounded my whole life.
Yeah.
A lot of times. But, yeah, I learned how to navigate that with me and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's... It seems like you see your generation grew up so fast to where ours, it's taking forever to grow up. And I think it's because of that. Like, you had autonomy. You could go out and be away, and there's dangers with that and risks with that, but you also were in your career at 19, 20? 21. To where there's hardly any 21-year-olds in their career now. And it's because they're not grown up until 30.
Right.
And it's parents are over top of them all the time, or there's not that, like, yeah, go do whatever. And, like, I trust that you're going to be okay or make the right decisions or whatever. And even if you don't, hopefully you didn't do something too bad. Most people don't, but there's just, it's becoming later and later. People are growing up now. And I think that's seeming to be an issue because, like, I don't know. You just go every layer of society. It's like, it just seems weird.
Is because nowadays society is a little more, I don't want to say dangerous maybe, or there's more bad out there?
I think the dangers aren't as obvious. Like, maybe when you were growing up, you going out and riding your bike on your own is like kidnapped.
The worst thing I ever thought about was getting chased by a dog.
Okay, well.
Well, I take that back. When I got older, you would get like high school kids that would, yell at you as they drove by.
Sure.
And if you learn real quick, if you say something back,
they're gonna
stop. Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, and then you're hauling ass trying to avoid them.
The Mark Norman was just saying that in a podcast of like, he's like, when I was younger, like you would just start getting chased.
Yes.
Like you don't even know by who or why you didn't do anything, but all of a sudden you're getting chased and you just have to get away. It's like, that was life. That was being a kid.
Yeah.
Like, how much of age, like 11 to 15, was you just running away from someone you didn't know?
It didn't happen a lot in Janesville, but
That's hilarious.
When it did, you pedaled your ass off. Yeah. Or you learned where the shortcuts were in the house. The neighbors that didn't have fences that you can get through their yards.
Yeah, because he said, like, I wonder if kids are still getting chased anymore. Like,
Yeah.
That's still a thing.
For no reason.
No, that was a thing.
I think the dangers are different. I mean,
they're
it's
sneakier now, I think.
Well, I think seems like more of the dangers is just social media. It's just like you're seeing stuff that maybe you shouldn't see, or I don't know, like people getting canceled, or...
Well, so there's a guy that I work with who was a school cop for 25 years. And he said...
What school do you know?
Huh?
Was it like a Janesville school?
Middle school. Back in the day, when kids had a problem with each other, they'd meet at the bike rack after school. And they'd fight it out, and it was done with. You may not like the kid anymore, but you either knew you got your ass kicked or you kicked his ass.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they'll put you on camera as they're beating the shit out of you, and then it goes viral. So now the whole school sees it, and now you're teased about it for the next 2 months.
It follows you.
Yeah, right. And I mean, and what he says is at middle school age, it's such a precarious age. The worst part of growing up is because your hormones are changing. Mm-hmm. You're going from grade school where you were the top class and you've got all these little kids under you. Now you come into middle school and you're the lowest grade of in Janesville 3 grades. Mm-hmm. And there's a big change from 6th grade to 8th grade in adolescence and puberty and learning. You've got several schools combining at that point to one school. So you've got your maybe 3-4 core friends that you had growing up. Now you've got other people coming in, and you've got kids, other schools coming in that want to hang out with you, or your friends go to hang out with this group. Mm-hmm. And you've got kids now that, I'm going to start vaping. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling you guys this, and I think I told you guys more like high school. Like, you'll see kids changing their direction as far as like going down the bad road, or kids that are, stepping up to becoming, more athletic because their bodies you're growing into their bodies. And you'll have kids that keep that same group, but there's so many more opportunities to veer off the path, or veer off the path you were on, I should say.
There's more splitting up happening. That totally was happening in middle school.
Well, because
it's like everybody's kind of going different directions, and it's like, oh, this kid's getting into like the hardcore stuff, and this kid's like, maybe they're like, holy shit, you just grew 6 inches over summer, and now it's like, is he going to be like amazing at basketball now?
He's probably awkward as shit.
Yeah, but he's lanky and weird. And it's like, it is weird because like at the younger ages, there's
everyone's
not as much. Everybody's the same, but
boys and girls.
But then middle school, it is like, wow, you're into like, you have kids that are like doing cocaine, and then the other end of the spectrum is like
they have braces.
Yeah, this kid is like, I don't know, just
still carrying their lunchbox.
Like still giving his mom a kiss on the mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before he goes to school. It's like there's such a wide spectrum that it is. It's like, oh, where do I fall in this? Because that seems crazy. That seems crazy.
Did you guys have kids like that in middle school that you just saw like, this is not the same kid from last year?
I remember one kid specifically in 6th grade saying that he smoked weed. And we were just like, we lost him. Like, he's never going back.
Go to the dark side.
But it was our first example of someone in our grade or someone that we knew of that was like consistently doing something that we were like, we'll never drink, we'll never do drugs, we'll never do anything
that whole
bad.
phase is hilarious.
And then this one kid, we're just like, we gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
We gotta meet up. We gotta talk to him. I remember just being like, this is where it all changes. From here on out, no one's the same. And I think from like 7th grade on, it just got weirder and weirder. And then especially in high school, I think with sports, you notice it a lot. And then when people get their license, because then they can start hanging out with different groups of people, or you're with sports where, say like with Palms, I'm with seniors. Right, as a freshman, so I'm being exposed to different age groups and then their friends, and what does that mean? And for sports, it becomes more serious. So it's like, well, I
played basketball,
but like, do I really care that much?
Yep. Right.
So it's like, nah, I'll not do it. I'd rather go to the game or go to parties afterwards. I don't want to have this thing, pull me down to where before it was like, this is just something I could do for fun.
Middle school was where it drew the line where like, oh, now we have cuts. And now it's just like, oh, I'm going to go for basketball because it's wintertime.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like going from that stage where everybody plays and we're just here to have fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
To
your team is
now
a
it's
color.
like, now if you suck, you're not getting in the game.
Yeah.
So that's like the first step. That's where you lose a little bit of the kids that are just there because your friends are there. And then when it gets to middle school, it's like, now you have to make the team. And guaranteed, if you barely make the team, you're sitting on your ass all year long.
Yeah.
You're a practice dummy, basically.
Yeah. Ours was a little bit different. Nobody got cut, but there was an A team, B team, C team. So then you get put into these categories of how good you are.
Yes.
And now it's like, well, you're on the B team. Like, you're not as good as me and all this type of shit. And it's like, oh, no. So, like, you go from everybody's equal to now we're all ranked. And that starts to be weird.
Where you're already figuring out, like, who's ranked where.
Yeah, well, it's like...
Based off of so many different criteria.
Because you played with them your whole life.
Yeah. But based off of, like, social criteria.
Oh, sure.
It's like, who looks better? Who got their braces off first so then they look better? Who's friends with these people? And, okay, you're a freshman. What seniors want to hang out with you versus, seniors don't want to hang out with you? So, like, what does that mean? Are you not as cool or whatever? Like, you're figuring out so many different... Where do I place here in every category?
And like you said, this is the time where typically everybody's hormones are changing to where it's like the competitive nature of guys just kicks up.
Yeah.
It used to be we're all having fun and playing the sport and we're all cool. Now it's like, I want to be better than you. And also, wow, girls look interesting
like the best
now.
one. Yeah.
And now we're competing over girls in middle school, and that wasn't happening in the grades below. And
it kind of goes like sports and with the whole girl thing. Natural talent ends at some point, and now you've got to start working at it.
Yeah.
And you can tell the kids that were just like, I was good in middle school or I was good in grade school, I'm good. And then you can tell the kids that were practicing over the summer, maybe going to camps.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Actually cared the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the same thing you could tell with the girl situation. Like, there were kids that just like were still that mommy's boy.
Yeah.
And there were kids that were... Now they're starting to comb their
Yeah.
hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now they're worried about what they're wearing. And they're trying harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Oh, you got clothes this summer. What's going on with
it's
you?
Not about
new shoes?
Check out my new shoes.
Yeah.
For school.
Yeah. It's not the cool race car backpack anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's what
Well, you do. You have that split of like, I mean, I was not like, I was like, nah, I'm still gonna play video games. Like, my hangouts are gonna hang out with 3 other friends and play video games till 2 a.m. Like,
But
I don't
video
care.
games are kind of the thing. That's where you... Like,
But there was kids that were like, don't you want to like go talk to girls and go hang out and like, I don't go to a random neighborhood and like meet up on bikes? It's like, no, video games are way cooler than that. What are you talking about?
some of us
So
take longer to figure out who we are.
I was the race car backpack guy for a long time.
But that is funny though. It's like the boys that were immediately like into girls, they didn't really excel in sports. So like they were the guys.
They were the guys in the
our
stands
grade.
being loud and yelling.
Yeah. So like they were always those guys since till we were a senior in high school. So like
you don't get back out of that.
They stayed those guys because at a young age that's just like you're assigned. That's who you are now.
Yeah.
You go in that lane and you're staying there.
But those guys, like, oh, you were pretty good with football or basketball or whatever in middle school. And now it's like, well, you're not riding on that anymore. Like, you're just that person, whether it's guy or girl or whatever. I think the assigning starts in, like, middle school and the very beginning of high school. And it's like, this is just who you are. So then the kids that, like, start to veer off. Like, I remember, like, one of my really close friends, he was like the girls guy, and then he like went more like hick, and we were like, what is that? Even though that could have been his route the entire time, but because you're assigned this one thing,
right?
It's like, well, now what are you doing? This isn't the path that we've assigned for you.
Do you think everybody knows the term hick outside of the Midwest?
Yo, hell yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't.
Or is that just a Midwest
I
term?
don't know.
Like, would they say hillbilly down south? Because we would never say
I
hillbilly.
think most people that live down south are.
They don't say it because they are
I
that.
just say people.
No, that's just Fred.
No, I think hick or redneck, I think is pretty much universal.
Oh, see, I don't think hick and redneck is
No, I
the
mean,
same
I
thing.
don't think they're the same thing, but I think everybody knows what
everybody
they
knows
are.
what they are.
I think that's
Yeah.
a common language.
See, I don't really hear hick that much.
I don't hear hick at all
At all.
besides Midwest.
Really?
Redneck,
Yeah.
Yes, I hear that, or like
Yeah.
white trash, but
And
I
there are
don't hear
degrees of that, I think, depending on
where you live too. Yeah. Yeah, I think our version of white trash where we grew up was like, this is soft. White
Especially
trash.
in Milton, yeah.
Yeah, this is like you're white trash, but you still own a home. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
You own
Yeah.
property.
Your
Yeah.
No.
house is on wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Or cinder blocks?
Yeah. Doesn't count.
Yeah. You have running water?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a pretty cush. I bet,
Yeah.
You know what? There were probably kids like that in your high school. You just didn't know who they were.
Yeah, true.
No, I mean the conversations that we've had even recently. It's like there's kids that have been that we went to school with. That you're like, oh yeah, I had this. I know that family, or I went to a call there, or whatever. It's like we would never have known
Yeah.
that was their home life.
Mm.
See, that's where I
Okay.
think
Which should be a
Midwest,
PSA for all younger kids too. Is like you don't know the full story.
Totally. We've had so many conversations, I feel like, about that. It's like you don't really know who's got money and you don't really know who doesn't have money.
Right.
It's like what you say, don't air your dirty laundry. Like, I think the Midwest is good about that. They don't air anything. You don't know
Correct.
anything about anybody pretty much all the time.
That's why I wish you could teach kids that, but it's so hard because they don't like that their world is so in that like the
Social
problem
media.
that I had yesterday with my second class, like a girl was crying in my class and there's drama at school with these friends picking on her, and then it's coming into dance and blah blah blah, and she's like, I'm not gonna ever have any other friends besides them. It's like, this is so not reality. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of other. She's like, well, everybody's already paired up with their friends at school. It's like, that will change 10 times through
Yeah.
But
the
that's
next
her world
7
right
years.
now.
Like, she doesn't know any different. But you just, how every parent probably has told their kids this, like, this is not going to matter.
Yeah, this isn't
But
going to last.
how do you get that to
Yeah.
actually sink? Because it would make it so much easier just if you understood, like, oh, none of this means anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think that some of the drama, like when what I said the other day, like when there was a rumor about me getting a boob job in 6th grade, it's like that consumed me.
Yeah.
And I was like, for years, that's like what I was like, yeah, everybody thinks I got a boob job. And I'm like hiding my boobs all the time. We're trying to like flatten. I was like, this is 6th grade. Why can I not rationalize? Do you guys actually believe this?
Yeah.
We're 12.
Or are you just trying to
You
be
think
mean?
this is even legal?
Yeah. Yeah, it's even legal.
But like,
Well, I love your first thought is like, who paid for it? I didn't pay for that.
but it's like to a 6th grader, it's like everybody thinks that,
Yeah.
and that's reality. But like, how do you tell a 6th grader like this is stupid?
Yeah, you
Don't
can't.
let that get to
You can, or it's.
Yeah.
Oof.
Which, that is a perfect segue into my next, what advice would I give to a person my age?
Okay, which
And-
is say your age.
53.
Don't get a boob job.
Yeah, don't let your daughter get booked up 12.
Big mistake.
Too expensive.
And it would be...
Which
just,
pairs with his retirement thing,
Yeah.
too. It's like, spend all my retirement money on this 12-year-old boob job.
6th grader thinks that this is their world, and they don't see down the road. And I would say, now that I'm young and I'm retired, your work is not your life. Because the day you leave, no matter how important you think you are,
Yeah.
that job does not stop, and you're replaced like that.
Yeah.
So all this time and effort that you put into your career and to thinking that you're, and I wasn't like this. I didn't spend my life at work. Work was just something that paid me to do the fun things that I wanted to do. But I see it with these people I work with that put off having kids, put off getting married because they wanted to get someplace in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And you all, as soon as any of these people that I work with now that are retiring now, it's like, They don't give a shit about you. You filled a spot.
Yeah.
How many times did you go in when you were called, or go in when you weren't called, to get this or that done? Or you volunteered for this, to get the status, or to, show that I'm putting in the extra effort, or sending yourself to training that you paid for. And then to be like, it's like, yeah, they didn't care about that then, they don't care about it now. It's like, how much time did you take away from your family that's going to be with you the rest of your life to do for this job that, maybe it got you status while you were there, but we all end up retired, and we all end up getting the same paycheck.
And replaced.
And replaced, day one.
Yeah, like immediately.
You're probably trying to get replaced while you're even there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
well, they can't hire until you're done, because there's no open spot to fill.
Got it, yeah.
But they're running recruitments.
Yeah.
They just haven't offered somebody a job.
Yeah.
But they're already, taking your measurements and so, because will he fit into this pants? And, so that would be my advice to give somebody my own age. Because I'm retiring at a younger age, to where, like I said, people my age are still working for 15
more years.
Yeah.
And, it's like you're trying to gain that status. And
To where you could have kids that are in high school or just coming out of high school, and you could be going to do, go to their games.
Teams.
Go
to their games.
Yeah.
Be involved in their life. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your wife or your husband.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, because how many people justify too, like, I'm doing this for my kids, to where it's like, really, you spending more time away from them, and paying for trainings that
you're making money for your family.
Yeah.
But if you're not there to enjoy it with them, or they're not there to enjoy it with you,
and then time runs out because they're trying to build their life, and a lot of times that doesn't really include you anyways. It's like they're going to college or getting married or buying a house. It's not like they're living at home anymore. And
then where's your relationship then with your family?
Yeah.
You spent your whole life while they were growing up away, missing it, and now you have nothing to.
That's why I wish there was. I'm always looking for just like black and white answers. I wish there was a dollar amount that someone could figure out, where it's like, if you make this much a year and you have this many kids, this is like what most people just need to do.
It's your lifestyle, though.
But it's like to like baseline, have decent food, have them be in activities that you can pay for, have them, like, if they need new clothes, have new clothes or whatever. Because I think
I get what you're saying, like a ideal or a optimized optimum.
So random, though.
Like,
so then you can go like, okay, if we want a little bit more, we got to make a little bit more than that, or if we don't really care about some of those things, we can make a little bit less.
Well, it's like, say it's like 90,000. 100,000, you have a little bit more time away from them. We have a little bit more money, but then like 80 or 70 is a little less, so you can't do as much stuff. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Just because I could see myself getting caught up in that, of like just the scarcity complex of like, I don't know if it's going to be enough, so I'm going to make more than need be just in case. But it's like, but what if this is so unnecessary?
But that's where
like
that's where kids are great, is because when they're young, they're not doing all these things, and they're relatively cheap. I mean, besides maybe doctor's visits, and hopefully you don't have to worry about formula, but they're not involved in, and hopefully you don't have to worry about daycare, because then you're right off the bat you're spending a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But they're not in athletics. They're not getting new hockey skates and all this stuff every year, to where it gradually, I think, increases.
You grow with your kids, kind of.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And hopefully your income stays in that same range, that same.
Yeah.
As they're getting more expensive, you're getting, making more.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to have it all figured out, because nobody has it figured out when you have kids. I don't care how many books you read, how prepared you think you are.
Yeah.
You just aren't.
Yeah.
But I think it's a natural progression that you're gonna make more as you've been in a job longer. And you guys have found that out.
Yeah.
And then don't take too much extra for like you said, whether it's pay raise or just extracurricular, because you're going to just start missing out on more.
Yeah.
As you continue on.
And maybe involve your kids in the things that, like, I used to take kids to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, we used to go with the Y.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those were just things that we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it partly was probably because I wanted to go there. I could finally take you guys there, because you had to be, I think, 12 to get into the Y. So it was like, as soon as you get to your 12, I'm like, okay, good, now we can go. Now they can go with me.
Yeah.
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 But we didn't go there and go work out. We had to stay in that little family room area. But we would go swimming and go to the wave pool and the gym.
Well, still, we were able to, like, lift weights a little bit. Like, I remember, like, doing that and, like, getting that experience. And then when we would go to the athletic club, like, getting to do that, it's like, that had to be somewhat instilling somewhat of an interest.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, 'cause, like, I kept going and Kara didn't, so she maybe didn't have an interest with it as much,
right.
or whatever. That.
But you didn't go very often until you got into high school.
No, because I was way too embarrassed. If a boy at school saw me there working out, horrible.
Yeah.
I remember Jake Hermanson saw me there doing, like, abs one day. I'm like, well,
my life is ruined.
gotta move.
Gotta move.
Gotta move.
Boob job rumor all over again. Did you know that Courtney's on steroids?
He's only putting in effort towards something. Not cool.
Yeah, that's my advice for people my age.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like especially nowadays, it seems like it's like we've talked about this too with moms or just women in general. It's like you can't just be a mom anymore. You have to be the businesswoman, the mom, the wife, the fitness influencer. You have to be everything now. That's the expectation. That it's like, how much of just chasing all of those different things are you now getting so far away from your kids or things that actually matter to you, rather than just like those, I don't know, tangible things that don't really fulfill you or matter.
And then what happens to their kids? They're on the iPad, sitting on the couch.
Yep. Somebody else is raising them, and
yeah. I would say the biggest thing for young people, if you can avoid daycare, I get it gives the kids the social interaction, but it is so expensive. And you pay whether your kids go or not.
That's why I think putting them in an activity might give them the social aspect of it. It might be cheaper. That's where, like, I think where I get in my head about the expensive kids is like, yeah, but they can start things at 2, 3, and knowing me, I'm gonna want them to be in stuff because I really believe in that.
Yeah, but they're going like once a week.
Yeah, but I mean, still once a week. I mean, what's one class a week? $20, and that's one kid, and that's one activity, $80 one day a week. It's like, if they just go to one, they probably won't just be in one activity.
Maybe at 2.
At 2, I don't know. Things are starting younger.
Yeah, but
and I mean, with them and everything.
If you don't, like, your mom used to have play dates with other kids your age.
Yeah, I think the daycare is not doing daycare is probably a luxury nowadays for most people, just based off of time.
Well, and I wonder how much of that is like, can you afford to not do it if you live within your means? But so many people are trying to chase that. I need to make, $100,000, $150,000 a year, that all of their time is now taken. And not only is the dad trying to do that, the mom's trying to do that too. That's why they need daycare. Both of you are working 50, 60 hours a week, or even just 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. You can't be there all the time. That's like, if you could make a living and live within your means and not have to need everything, you don't need a new TV every year, you don't need a new furniture every year, whatever the thing that everybody's spending money on.
Look at a lot of people that are doing that, though. They have this big house, and they're both driving new cars. Mm-hmm. And, I think some of that is so much about what you're showing people.
Yeah. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep.
Instead of just you do you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, I think, is weirdly a good benefit of living away right away for us. Is like, we weren't comparing ourselves to anybody around us because we didn't know anybody around us.
Right.
So it wasn't like, well, we know you in high school and now we see you driving this car, or you already are owning a home, or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
we're not comparing ourselves to really anything, so we can, like you said, just kind of do what we want to do, and then it kind of forces you to, like, well, what do you care about? What do you want to spend your time with? What do you want to spend your money on? What do you want your life to become? That, I think that's harder to do when you're staying in the same spot, just because it's easy to be influenced, but it's still possible to, like, just ask yourself, like, okay, who cares what your friends are doing or people your age are doing? What works for you?
Well, and I think a benefit to you guys to where you moved to LA, it was like you didn't have traditional 9-to-5 jobs. And
or people that we were used to seeing in
but you
families.
went to LA, and it was mind-blowing to me that there were all these different jobs, careers. It wasn't always you just go to work during the daytime or going to work at night, and that was it. It was just like when you first started being a personal trainer, it was like, I work here for a couple hours and here for a couple hours and here for a couple. And Courtney was like, I work 20 hours a week and I make this much money to pay my bills. I'm like, you bitch. You're making what I make now after 25 years of doing what I did. You know?
Well, and that's like, Shane's working 4 hours a day and making enough, but also, like, how are people not at work?
Right.
At 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And then,
so
like,
it was
at 3, like...
It was like you guys got introduced to this. We don't have normal go-to-work jobs, but yet these are acceptable. Our jobs are not looked at like, oh, you work part-time?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because basically you were working part-time.
Yeah.
Oh, even less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what's part-time? 20 hours a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not doing 20 hours a week.
Right. And it was just like, that was perfect for you guys to realize, like, hey, we don't need to go to work for somebody else working 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, whatever it is, to have a job or to live somewhere, and it's somewhere expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember one time doing the budget and, like, calculating my hours of how much I worked, and it was like 45 hours for the month.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's how much, like, people work that in a week.
Yes.
And I'm like, how? How do they do this? Like, I'm thinking I'm busy doing this in a whole 30-day span. And you're like, people spend in a week. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't get it, but
Okay. And that was a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys had stayed at home and never moved,
I'm sure we would have been influenced probably a lot.
Well, we wouldn't be working, 20 hours a week and everything be fine.
But I think even, like, just us...
We'd be living with you.
Yeah. I think we would have searched that out in some ways.
I don't know.
But it would be more influential.
What were you working at in Madison?
Well, I was kind of going
the same.
crazy because I was trying to, like, save all the money I could for moving.
Yeah.
So I don't think I wouldn't maintain that teaching schedule now. Like, I was teaching 4 days a week. I would not do that now.
Right, but you're also getting paid significantly less there.
Yes. Yeah. And that's also that area. Like, I don't think I could charge what...
Right.
Yeah.
Or even, like, personal training. You can't charge that in a...
No.
Just because, like, the income level of the people that you're
Correct.
training also, like, that's just...
Clientele, how many people you're going to have. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for our age...
I don't know for our age. Well,
I don't think everybody's still figuring it out.
somebody said something that made me think of it. I think for our age, I'd say, like, don't attach or believe 100% into anything, because it's like you're just gonna end up being wrong, and then it's gonna be way worse coming out of that. You have to be more fluid than that. It's like there's just been too many times where I'm like, this is it, this is the way, this is how you do it, and then a day later you're like, that's not it, that doesn't work. That don't believe 100% into anything, because it's never going to be that way.
Like carbs.
Carbs. I'm back on carbs. They're the shit. You should try them.
Well, did you tell them why you're back on carbs? The big announcement? Shane's gonna try to get
You're making it a big announcement. I don't know.
I just asked you that last week, and you're like, I don't give a shit what I look like.
Yeah, well, no, he doesn't give a shit what he looks like. But he always does this thing where he's like, I'm gonna get big again, and then 2 hours later he's like, I don't care about it. But
Too much work.
I think you're gonna stick with it this time, based on how you're talking about it. Like, I think what we find fun with I'm sure you do this too. Like, fitness is like, it's exploratory.
Yeah.
So it's like, how many different ways can you dive into it? That I think you were so hard on the, like, how efficient can you be? That's like, cool, got that, kind of understand it a little bit more. That I think, like you said, you're willing to kind of go back through the...
Yeah, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah.
I'm just bored.
So I'm just like, how big can I be?
Yeah.
Again.
How big can I be? Like, you're pushing it big?
That's her words.
Oh,
but
okay. You just want to gain weight.
I don't know.
Gain size.
I think... Yeah. I mean, stronger, bigger.
Is the ego lifting rubbing off on you?
That'd be fun. No.
You
No,
want
like...
to be injured all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
Get inflamed.
Well, and that's what I was telling her. I was like, I think before I wasn't willing to feel that. Like, I didn't want to, like, I don't want to feel hurt. I don't want to have gut issues. I don't want to do that to her. Now I'm kind of like, whatever. I'll do all that.
See where it lands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing you, though, you're going to start feeling crappy, and you're going to be like, I can do better than this.
First stomach ache, he's out.
I shouldn't be feeling like this. I know I can do better. I know I shouldn't feel this way. And you're going to be like...
That's what I've done every time.
Okay.
So, you're right on cue. You know me.
Looks like I'll have to stay till April.
I think for our age, I would say similar to what
Wait, we didn't talk about Cheney's.
yours of just don't
Being
be...
fluid.
Yeah, I think just like don't believe 100% into anything. Like, if you're that attached to something, you're either going to be
yourself.
Yeah, you're either going to be disappointed in what you end up finding out, or like you're putting so many blinders on and not seeing other options potentially that it's just, I don't know. I think it's
Be open.
Yeah, I think it's more of a negative to be like, this is the way and that's it. You know, kind of stubborn in that way of like, I'm not going to think any other way. This is how it is. You watch one podcast and you're like, this is everything now. And you do that. And then it's like, everything's going to change.
It's kind of like what I said with the advice for the younger age group. It's like, we don't have enough data yet.
Yeah, totally.
To be like 100%, this is what I believe. It has happened to me 100 times through and it ends up the same way.
Yep.
Even then I would say maybe the 101 time is going to be different, so still be open. But it's like we haven't experienced enough to say those things.
Yeah.
When you get to my age, then you can get set in your ways because you...
Even that, like...
I know. It's just easier to do when you're my age. Cause I've done this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I like it this way. I don't like change.
That is...
There's still truth in that, for sure.
There's definitely truth in that. But even for me, like, wanting to resist that at your age, then I need to heavily resist that at 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, for you, like, yeah, but you don't know.
No, you don't.
You're say you live till, later age, you could be like basically halfway. So that at 26, I can't be like, I figured it all out.
Yeah.
I know all the answers.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
Yeah.
I think you guys specifically have benefited from living in several different parts of the country. And like you've covered about 3 of the 4. Well, you've been in 4 of the 6, I would say. I don't think you haven't had northeast, northwest, and northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope you never go to either one of those places. But northwest wouldn't be bad, depending on how far you go. But
I don't know. I don't think
how about
like
Portland?
People in Northwest.
No, I was thinking more like
Oregon,
Utah.
Yeah.
Montana.
Yeah, you say Northwest, and that's all I think about. It's like better. I'm like, you would not like those people.
Portland or Seattle?
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna be begging us to move back to Southern California.
Yeah.
Go back.
California wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
LA was great.
Remember that time?
Yeah.
That was so cool.
You know, Pasadena was a good town.
Yeah, that I've said that before. I think that's been a great, whether it's from selfish reasons or not, a great gift that we've given ourselves of moving to different places, because I think when you're living there, it forces you to question yourself and adapt as much as you feel comfortable with to the environment that you're around. Like, California compared to Wisconsin was such a drastic change, and then you wouldn't think it would be big of a change, but like California to Texas was such a change that you have to constantly be asking yourself, like, who am I? Because where do I fit into the scope of everybody around me?
Society.
So then it forces you to have those conversations with yourself, like, what do I want to be represented as? How do I want to show up to the people around? What do I maybe believe in or agree with? Or like where do I fit in? And I don't think when you're just going day to day around the same people, it's easier, I think, to, like, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. To where I think when you're forcing yourself into different environments, you have to keep checking in with that. And maybe, like, adapting different ways.
Yeah, but I think you guys have had training wheels on no matter where you've lived. You guys have stayed within yourselves, and you haven't, like, branched out, like, hey, we're going to go join a pickleball league, or we're going to, I don't know what they do in Texas, go shoot
guns.
People.
Well, that's California. You know, it's like, think of how it would have been so much more a learning opportunity if you guys would have got to these places, like, let's go out and see what.
But that would be diverting from.
That's what I maybe
question.
think is the first thing that we learned is we're not those people, because we did that a little bit in California.
What do you mean, not those people?
Like going out and
meeting people.
Yeah, it's like we did that a couple times. And we were like, I don't really like this.
That's California.
Well, that could be true.
We tried in Texas.
Yeah,
you guys didn't like it.
It's same thing in Texas. That just reassured, this ain't great.
And everybody here is like 50 years older than you.
Yeah. Honestly, we probably get along the most with these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the neighbor friend, Jeff. We talked to him every time we see him.
Yeah.
7-year-old, California, Hiromi.
Yep.
The only dinner that we went out with was a 6-year-old
Yeah.
Asian lady.
Well, we went out.
And
we went to another dinner too, but that was all 40s.
Yeah. Yeah, we really just go with the older.
You got Hot Wheels here.
Age group.
Yeah.
But
I thought her name was Hot Rod now.
No, it's Hot Wheels.
Is I think we've been able to go, like, again, like I said, like asking ourselves those questions of who generally, what do we like, who are we, what helps us thrive. It's like, okay, we're not really great at expanding out so much, and I think maybe that's from, like, where we grew up. We've known everybody, and it's a very small community. We've
get the same friends all grown through life.
And your friends were like, I've known you since kindergarten, and that's everybody here. We all feel safe and comfortable. That I think we've experienced that. Like, we branch out a little bit, we find people that we're comfortable with, and we bring them along. But it's not like we fully go out there and expand. So it's like, okay, let's just hone in and have our unit be really solid, so that when we go anywhere, it's like, we're going to be fine because we're going together, so our little unit works really well.
I think you guys are both raised in that environment too. Like, family was huge. And if you had family, because this is how I grew up. If you had family, that's all you needed.
Yeah.
I mean, grandpa and grandma are not like that, but I guess to a certain point they are.
I think they are.
They have their friends, but they've had their friends for 30 years.
Yeah, their friends are a part of the family.
50 years, yeah. It's like the inner circle.
Yeah.
Well, they have their outer circle and their inner circle.
But even their outer circle, they're still coming to family weddings, family functions.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I think you guys...
We know their family.
Because your guys' family were like that too. It's like we had bigger families, and it was like family was enough. We didn't need all these other people.
Yeah.
Because just getting the family together was a big crowd.
A task. Yeah.
Well, and like both of us talk about too, like neither one of our parents did the, like, were gonna be in the clique
behind
thing.
the home bench at the basketball game.
Yeah,
crowd.
like my parents didn't do that. You didn't do that. Like it. I think that's something that we were both kind of like, okay, we're almost we're in the same group now.
Yeah.
Of our parents don't do this whole thing that all the other ones are, or some of the other ones are. That's like, okay, cool. We don't have to worry about whatever's going on over here. And it was like, we're just going to do things as a family, and that's like where we're going and going about.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going on vacations with 6 other families. We're going with just ours. Like,
right.
We go to a yearly summer cabin trip. That was our vacation growing up. It's like we weren't going with 6 other families and whatever.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep. I just wondered how it would have been different had you guys done that. Would it have been more difficult to leave LA? Would it have been,
Difficult, period.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
it would have been like not who we are.
yeah.
I think that's the hard part for me to wrap my head around, is like, yeah, but we would have been doing shit we didn't want to do all the time then.
And I guess I know my answer, because how hard was it to leave Janesville and Milton?
Well, for who are we talking to? Because it was a different experience for each of us.
Well, you guys had a goal in mind, and you did it no matter what you left behind. And I think, well, I want to think as a dad that it was because you knew you weren't losing anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
know what I
that's definitely true. Yeah.
It was like you knew that you were supported
Yes.
in your decisions. So, and maybe friends would be like, oh, why? If you'd have met friends in LA or met friends in Texas, would they have, like, oh, don't, and then you never hear from them again. It's like, they're out of my life.
I think we both kind of had the same experience with friends even through school, though, too. Was like we were so much more on our own path that we were kind of leaving friends even through school. Like, this other thing was more important than the friends part. And I wonder if it's because we were both more family focused anyways. That's like, we knew our family life was secure and everything was good and we could go do whatever and we weren't going to lose anybody because of it. So even like gaining or losing friends was like, yeah, whatever, but I still have family all the time. So
Yeah, you always got the safety net of your family.
yeah.
I think friends growing up for me were like,
Girls on the side.
no, like I only had a few because I knew that was the only thing that I could like truly maintain. Like, if I'm going to have a friendship or a relationship with somebody, I want it to be something I'm going to put effort into. That the few friends that I did have, I think they understood and they supported the like dance comes first, or like that is going to be a huge part of this dynamic. Like, you're not going to come to every sleepover, you're not going to come around all the time. That I think when we then moved to, for me, I think it was maybe a little bit different for you. Like, me moving away was always a part of the plan, so it wasn't
Right.
this like shock that it was like same way that kids going away for college. It's like, this is just what you do. Me moving across the country was like, this is just what you do.
How many of those kids went to college and came back by Halloween or Thanksgiving, though? My guess is a lot.
I don't know a whole bunch of them that went like super far away either, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they went to Madison or they went to college wherever, just like,
Yeah.
nope. And by Thanksgiving, they were back home.
Yeah, I think a decent amount that went more local switched around just to more local, but a lot of the people that went farther away that I can think of came to more local, like that went away, came back and came to more local
Yeah,
schools.
went like to Whitewater.
Yeah, but I think that was just always the plan for you. Maybe that wasn't the plan until closer to.
But yeah, like
maybe that was it.
I went far away and came back, but then I just ended up leaving again.
Yeah.
But Cheney, when did you make the decision to go with Courtney? You didn't have 2 years to prepare. Or shit,
Pretty
you had
close.
more than that.
Oh, I mean, I was planning on
Mentally
going when I
preparing,
was.
but I'm saying
in middle
financially
school.
preparing. Like you said, those 2 years between high school and going, I worked my ass off to build up as much money as I could.
You knew. I mean,
I think
we
pretty
just.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty quick.
You barely knew each other.
Yeah. Pretty much as soon as you came back.
We did know each other.
I know.
Pretty much as soon as you came back from Louisville, it was like, oh, you're probably coming with me. Or like, we're going to go do this together.
Yeah.
So 2 years, probably.
Yeah.
But you also, like, it's not like you were sharing that information so that everybody around you's like, what? You're moving to California? This seems random and
for what?
Spring of the moment. Yeah. But
yeah.
In high school, we always, not always, but like we would joke about like, wouldn't that be so cool to like be roommates with each other? Like we get along so well, we're friends. Cut to how many years later?
Yeah.
Still roommates. But I think it would, we're not those people, but I do get attached to people easily. Like it was hard leaving California just for all the people that we did make, or I did make relationships with work. Like the students that I taught that I had every single week for all the 3 years that we were there, or the studios that I taught at, that was actually hard. And I didn't think it would be because I wasn't there for that long, but
I think you were teaching such little kids. Not little kids, but just that age groups that you were, like, what was the oldest group, 13?
Well, the high schoolers that I was teaching, but it was like a group of 5 of them that I was only with them all the time, too.
And you, I mean, it was a year and a half, but at that, like we just talked earlier, how much in that year, that age group, how much do they change and grow in a year and a half?
Yeah.
And even your little ones, how much do they grow in a year, to like developmentally change its attitudes and develop more personality in a year and a half?
And a lot of them, I think how the studio structure was when I got there, and then what my boss was able or like willing to let me do, like she was letting me create whatever I kind of wanted with those kids. So then I was creating like really awesome relationship with the kids and the parents, and we were like creating a community within that studio. COVID kind of messed it up, but like I think that was more difficult than I thought it would be for how little I taught them. But it's like I was with them so much and developing what we kind of wanted together. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I still see them growing up now, or some of them are now graduating. So I think that helps me, like, oh, I wouldn't have had them for that many more years anyways, because they would have been graduating. But
did you not
get more years with them stinks.
Yeah. Did you have that with your clients when you left LA?
Some of them, yeah. Yeah, a couple. Not all of them, but a couple of them, yeah. I mean, again, like COVID kind of messed it up anyways. It's like I ended up not training them for how many months. So it was almost like there was that break anyways. So then in a weird way, it was almost easier to leave because I hadn't seen them for so many months. But yeah, I mean, it was, you build relationships and then it's hard to leave that. That's why I don't build relationships with anybody. That's why I stay at home.
I don't want to get hurt.
But especially with, those two things, like, you're with people only one time a week, but like for you, it's like you're talking to them for an hour about their life and their kids and their problems and whatever. And same thing with the kids that I teach, like I'm learning them as they're growing up and being a part of birthdays and different like school graduations that they're going to, and that kind of, like, you get involved in their life so fast. I don't know if it's because of the
What else are you gonna do while you're with each other? It's like you're gonna talk to each other, and then what are you gonna talk about? It's like, well, my kid's in this sport. What do you think about that? It's like,
you had a one-on-one relationship, which must have killed you.
Their careers that like build.
Courtney had like 5 or 6 kids. You just had one.
Yeah.
I don't care about your kid.
Yeah.
See, that can be difficult, but you also just learn to stay in touch or whatever, let things move on from that too. But
all right, Courtney, what's your age group?
I would say similar to the younger age group.
You can't use the same one twice.
Because we didn't set up rules for this. I think
I'm just gonna tell everybody the same thing.
Still,
you all get gift cards.
Which probably is decent advice. Like it sometimes can never like, it doesn't need to change. Like, just be fluid and be open all the time. But I think a part of what I would say for the younger age group of just continue to explore and allow yourself freedom and grace, but also know what your like core pillars are. I think that would be my advice for our age group, is starting to chisel out what are your core values. Like what do you want to, because I guess we're 26, like you're towards the end of being in your 20s, that I think it's you kind of have a better idea of who you are, and then now, at least how I feel, is you're setting up for the kids that you're about to build and create a life for. That
is this an announcement?
You need to be. Can you imagine if we did it on a podcast?
No.
Literally never.
The douchiest thing we've ever done. No, but.
She's drinking on the,
yeah.
in the last one.
But I think, like, starting to, and this is how I've always thought and believed, but, like, I think you're trying to build yourself into the person that you want to be as you're younger, but then I think as you get into this older age group, you're wanting to also build yourself into the person that's going to be a good spouse and be a good parent and a good person to your community that you're in. That I think starting to set up those pillars of what's super important to you, so that you can start to create your life and your structure, so that when you're bringing other people into the mix, that is already it's already established, so you know what you're representing and you know what you're delivering. So if it's just with another partner, you're like, this is how I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to deliver, this is like what you can expect from me, this is what I will bring to the table. And then when kids come into the picture, like, this is what I've already established for you to come into this format.
And you know what else I think is, like you had said something last week about, at your guys' age, pretty much everybody is with a partner at this point, and you're starting to build that foundation with your partner, and those pillars with your partner, so that when you do bring somebody else into the mix, as a child,
when you start swinging,
that's
your age.
When you start when you start having kids, you've already got your foundation. You've almost got, I don't want to say roles in the relationship, but kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like you've already established what works for us. And now we don't have to think about this. Well, you will when you have kids, because things are going to change. But you've got your core, you've got your foundation. It's like that I say, the foundation is the most important part of the house that you build. Mm-hmm. And your relationship and your life is kind of like, your life together is like a house. And if you have blocks, think of Jenga. If your blocks are crooked at the bottom, you can't go up as sturdy and as tall without that solid foundation. And I think it's a great example.
Like, start to build the foundation. Because I think that's too much to put on, like, a younger, like, 20 to 25.
When you're still figuring yourself out.
You don't know what foundation you even want to build. That I think maybe around this later 20 age, you maybe have an idea
of what's important to you.
Even if you already have kids or whatever, like, maybe you did need to push that a little bit sooner, I guess. But I think for our generation, that's getting pushed later and later.
Yeah, kids are having
25 to 30 later. Or 35, I think, is more one that's happening now. That building the foundation that you
35?
Want to. Yeah, sometimes.
We're not waiting that long.
Well,
I want to enjoy my grandkids, for Christ's sake.
Well, you're clocking out at 80, so yeah.
Let's go visit Grandpa at the nursing home.
And they'll be like,
bring the diaper bag, honey.
Like, Grandpa's still, like, walking around and fine. Like, I know. He
are these Grandpa's diapers or the kids?
They're going to be 75 doing completely fine. They're like, yeah, but he thinks he's going to die in 5 years, so let's just keep rolling with that. He's going to live another 30, so let's just buckle up. But I think starting to build that foundation for your next step, and I don't think that needs to always be career or like financial even. I think it's more so because that I think can sometimes change and maybe doesn't matter so much at this age because maybe for most people you're already set up in that. But it's really chiseling out who are you, who do you want to be, is there any things that's like, oh, I still have that stupid problem. Like, this is the time to wrap that up and figure that out before you're bringing other people into the mix, especially kids. It's like, have your shit figured out so that you're not trying to parent yourself when you're having to parent someone else.
Yes.
It's like, give them a structure to just, like, this is already ready for you.
Yeah.
Like, the house is clean for you. Like, obviously not literally,
Yes.
but like, the stage is set for you to come in and thrive. I think this is the time to like set your stage. Whether that's for a partner or for a family or for whatever your next venture is. It's like set yourself up for the consistency.
Janie, that means setup is complete. Lights and sound are working.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Now for the older.
This one's tougher for me. This one is the toughest. I think the biggest, I don't even know if it's advice, but it was more of like a comment of just like, I respect you. I was raised, and I think that's something that's lost on generations, maybe a little bit below you, maybe some of your generations, like
I think so, yeah.
not
Ours.
respecting your elders.
Yeah.
And I think you guys get that when you say like, oh, we talk to our older people are the people we talk to the most, you know, like the older people where we live.
Mm-hmm.
I always have tremendous respect for people that are older than me, and I think maybe it has to do with my job that I just respected the shit out of the guys that had done this for so long in front of me that it's just like, you've been through a lot and I know nothing. So, and I think that was instilled in me like, yeah, you don't know shit till you've done this for 5 years. You're still a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, towards the end of my career when I was the old guy, I didn't get that same feeling from the young guys. It was just like, ugh, yeah.
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 I'm here now.
Well, our generation is, the youth is better. It's like always and forever, youth. That's all we want. We want the new people coming in, the young. They're more ambitious. They have new ideas, innovative, all that kind of stuff. Same stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. That's like, it's just this push for youth all the time.
But I think that it's not, I think it's youth in general that have that belief. And
yeah.
My generation didn't have that. It was like, we're here to learn. We're here to learn.
I think,
it's like, teach me.
You were brought up with respect your elders. We were brought up with your elders are fucking this whole thing up. You're coming in to save the day. So our generation is like, come up with something innovative because what they're doing isn't working. You're here to clean up their mess. And so it's like automatic. It's like there's no respect because now we have to work harder because you're messing it up.
Part of that may be true. Like we were talking about today, it's like people throwing their garbage out the window.
Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's like people living for the now, and I think the older generation did that. They just lived for what's good right now. This is just how we do it, and.
But that can't be the whole story. It can't be black and white that way. It's like there's still stuff that we can learn. I agree.
And there's probably, I would say, there's probably more that we can learn than
than
it is that they're fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like
one aspect you weren't aware of.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And part of the problem too is like, who is on social media? The biggest thing in the world right now. It's like, it's young people.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of 50, 60, 70-year-olds.
On Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like, it's all young people, and that's who's talking, and that's who's saying everything, and that's what everybody wants is a young person to be, the new fucking Facebook CEO has got to be a young person to bring new ideas and innovative and whatever. Everybody wants the youth, and that's also who is spewing out all the information. And of course, all of that is going to be, oh, they're old, they don't know anything, and we actually know everything because we're younger and our brains work better and blah, blah, blah. It's like,
that's what I think. If you're smart and you're trying to learn, you're going to take from as many
sources,
viewpoints as you can. It's like, well, with some things, maybe the new innovative thing doesn't show the test of time. So how do you know? Like, I love talking with Grandpa and Grandma about their marriage. Granted, they don't share that much, but anytime they do, like, they don't think it's a nugget of knowledge. Life. But I'm like, do you just hear what you said? Like, I remember asking them, like, when you guys fight or if you got in an argument, how would you handle the situation? And I have lived by this ever since. Because, like, this is the simplest thing, but it's so genius. Grandma said, someone just always cares more. And then you just go with their idea. It's like, yeah. It doesn't have to be this super in-depth, like...
debate.
Yeah, scientific. Oh, well, we've done this study, and we've shown that when you handle it this way, it's like, someone's just going to care more, and you just roll with it. And you just, you give it.
But that's having the trust in your partner to know that, it's like, that's developed.
But exactly.
I guarantee you that wasn't always the case.
No, but when you can start that at still 26, like, that's still true. One of us always cares just a little bit more, and then you can maybe question it, but it's also like, yeah, you probably just care about this more. Okay. Let's go with your idea about this. You care about it more. There's going to be something that I care about more, and then let's go with my idea. Like, that could take so much stress and questioning and, like, who's right or wrong, or what is this going to mean overall? Like, do you care 51%? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's roll with that. But it's like, you couldn't ask someone, even in a successful relationship,
a 26-year-old
half of their age
would not give that advice or give that what they would be like, well, you need to go to therapy and talk about it for 48 hours.
Let's look at it from this point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your traumas that it's making you have that questioning about it?
Yeah.
It's like, someone just tends to, for how many years, someone just always cares more, and just go with their idea.
Yeah.
Simple. It's clean cut, and it's like, okay, well, I could take that, and maybe they say some stuff where it's like, well, that also doesn't make sense, or that's really old school. Like, I hear something with other grandma. It's like, well, he just knew everything. It's like, well, maybe not that, though. But maybe during your time, that worked for you guys and whatever. So it's like, okay, now bring that with the new age stuff, but don't disregard them just because they're old. It's like, but also maybe there's something to that of roles.
Right.
In the household. Like, it doesn't have to be
and your grandpa and grandma on your mom's side was almost like a half generation older than grandpa.
Right.
So could that 10-year span there?
Yeah, played a role.
15-year span? Yeah, big time role.
That alone?
One generation it's whatever the man says, and the next one's like whoever cares a little bit more. It's like, that's just even one tiny step into a different direction.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a relationship. I mean, I think it's that the relationship you build.
Oh, yeah.
Grandpa was not the disciplinarian when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Grandpa tended to always care more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect your elders. That's something that I think is...
And that's why I would say, that's my comment. I respect the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And, I've met people, I'm just like, that is a dumb idea. Or, how, you lived your life terrible. But, did you know any better?
Well, and then you also think of the people older than you. It's like, what did they grow up in? What time did they grow up in? What troubles did they, it's like, the world they grew up in, it's hard to not have respect of, like, you still got
I guess I just respect and I don't necessarily mean knowledge, just the experiences. It's like, you may not be the smartest person in the room as a 70-year-old, 80-year-old, but the experiences that you've gone through are way different than mine, and I respect. It sounds stupid. Not growing up with a microwave or a TV remote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or having 15 channels or 55 channels, and it's like not having power windows and not having air conditioning and not having a furnace in your house.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's just like, wow, I live a cushy life.
Yeah. Well, and those people are still the most, I guess, in our lifetime, like the grandparents of our days. It's like, they tend to be the most grateful and happiest about very simple things. Like, it doesn't take much for them.
Right.
Like, they can just sit in a chair and think.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how many people our age
Yeah.
be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I got to be doing something. I got to be watching something or whatever. It's like the simplistic, no,
Simplistic?
no.
Simplicity?
The simplicity of life with that generation is still like thriving. Like they can still
My
understand.
dad
it.
remembers not having TVs. You had radio shows.
Yeah, and
go
even
back
that
to
was like,
go back to when my dad would go to his grandpa and grandma's house, they didn't have plumbing. They
yeah.
had an outhouse. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like, we need our heated seats and our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My steering wheel's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know, it seems like each year I get older, the more I see I see people older than me, I'm like, oh, life is kind of hard already, and you've done this 25 more years than I have. Like, just that alone, like, oh, you've made it to here. Like, good job, keep going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That now, yeah, you take somebody who's 75, 80, it's like, I feel like I've seen a lot in 26 years. What the hell have you seen in 80? That's insane.
Yeah, advice for the older, that's difficult because
Ours is weird because we're 26, so it's like
it's
there's so
the
many
rest of
different
time.
age
Yeah.
groups that are older.
What would you tell your grandparents? Or were your parents?
I think grandparents, I would say, just keep living it up.
All mine are dead, so
Like
thanks.
Shani said.
Thanks for bringing it up. All mine are dead.
Like, keep living it up
I don't
and
have
just
grandparents
keep,
to talk to.
like, you've done it. Like, take your victory lap. Like, do all the fun
Get another TV.
do all the fun stuff. Like, you've already, like, there's not much time after this to, like, prepare for it. Or, like, I think that's where my brain goes all the time is, like, I need to be setting up for the next thing. It's like, you guys are on the time to, like, just
Ride
live
it
in
out.
it.
Yeah, this
Just
is what you prepared for.
Enjoy it. Like, get another TV. You don't want to fix the dishwasher? Get another dishwasher. Whatever. Like, you want to drive 8 hours one day because you feel like it? Do it. You have nothing else that you're
You've
doing.
built this, now
Enjoy
live
it. It's like you've spent how many years building this life, building your family, building whatever you have. Just thrive in it. That's what I would say for the grandparents. I think for your generation of people, or your age group of people, I would say
Do
don't.
better.
No. I would say like
It's all your fault.
Yeah.
like live in it and enjoy it, but don't jump the gun. Like, don't think you're 80. Like, still keep growing and learning and wanting to explore. Like, you maybe don't have the same thing of what we said, going back full circle to the younger age group of you don't have any responsibilities. Maybe like you maybe don't have. My guess at your age, you maybe don't have like younger kids in the house that you need to take care of or drive them around. You probably don't have maybe parents necessarily that you're like taking care of pretty regularly yet. Like, you're kind of in that sweet spot of it can be back about you again and your age group that right, maybe most people in your age group are working still, but like kind of learn to keep things alive and fun. Like, learn new tools or hobbies or explore more things or pick up things that you didn't have time to before. That's like, this is your time to self-focus.
Yeah.
Pick up on the things that maybe got lost along the way the last 30 years. Whether it was with kids or jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
Make it about you again.
I think mine is like
To who?
to,
You don't get to do both.
I don't know. I think, well, one of mine, I think it's for people that are maybe more younger, older than us, is like, you have to lead by example. You have to continue to lead by example. Because there's so much shit nowadays where it's like people have just totally given up on being a respectable human in the world, that it's just so self-focused and selfish, and I'm gonna do whatever I want to do and fuck everybody else. And you just, I mean, it's like you see it in the political atmosphere, you see it in pretty much the social media atmosphere, every atmosphere that's like, you are an example of society, so the way that you're carrying yourself and doing things does matter, because just like voting, no, one vote doesn't count, but when all of the votes or all of the people that are leading by example are doing a shit job of it, this is all what happens, is this chaos, and people don't know who to look towards or what is even good anymore or what's bad. And
give me something to look up to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who seriously, who are we supposed to look up to right now?
It is like that 30 to 40 age group. It's like what I said about the 20-year-olds, like, this is your time to fuck up and figure it out. I think once you get into your 30s, and then especially into your 40s, I think society, we expect you to, like,
get your shit together.
Kind of get your shit together.
Have your shit together.
So then this is where it's like, oh, so yeah, life is, like, you maybe haven't been doing what I was saying of, like, preparing yourself for the next step. You've been still kind of, like, holding on to, like, well, I'll probably still figure it out and whatever. That now life is still hitting you hard and you think it's going to get better, and it just maybe hasn't gotten better. It's still just as sucky. That it's like, yeah, at least just, like, I don't know. Don't give up then. Don't just go like, well, this is who I am. I'm just going to be this way to my spouse. I'm going to parent this way. I'm going to be this person in my job or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one, Cheney. Okay, final question.
Okay.
Speed round. Just for you guys. How do you compare yourself to people your own age?
Cut the cameras.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Storming out.
Yeah. Here's your like car.
All right, I'll do it this way. Do you feel? I know personally that you guys are way more mature than kids your own age, and I think you guys have been for probably your whole lives. In the grand scheme of life, are you winning, tied, or losing compared to kids your own age? No crying.
I think that's what's difficult, is because it's hard to say. Again, going back to, like, do we have the data? No, like, we don't know necessarily what life is all about.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, like, well, the categories that I think we're thriving in, do those end up mattering, or, like, are those going to end up meaning anything in our lives or whatever? I think they would, because I think that's kind of the point of why we're trying to thrive in them, is I think they will assist us. But I guess just going off of the data of what I think life is supposed to be about.
I'm not talking about money or social status. I'm not talking anything like that. I'm just talking about who you are as a person.
But that's all encompassing of it, though.
I think for me, I think winning, because I don't want to trade with anybody else.
Great answer.
Like, I wouldn't want anybody else's life, or I would rather be me with my thoughts than somebody else.
Good answer. Should I change it, Courtney, and be like, how do you think you've done to this point?
Well, I think up to this point, I think I'm winning. I'm thriving. I think I could see it start to catch up to me in these next 5 years.
Really?
I see the separation maybe start to happen, where I've been maybe doing a lot better, more just interpersonally, like mature wise, and developing things that maybe other people our age just aren't, like I said, like, they don't care about, which I think is also appropriate at that age. That I think, like, relationship building and understanding who I am and figuring out how to, like, really work on myself, I've gotten better at from 20 to 25. I think 25 to 30 is where I'm going to start to see more of the discrepancy of people are going to be catching up or superseding, just in the aspects of life, of maybe people are having kids, or they're in jobs that are like super stable, or they're going to be able to like just kind of be settled and figured out. And that's just where like I just don't know what's going to matter, because maybe even if I had that, I wouldn't want that anyways. But
yeah, I don't think either one of you are those type of people.
so maybe it's like I'm comparing myself to something I wouldn't even want, but I guess I don't know if I would have wanted that or not until it's...
Well, I think it's a hard question because like I don't even care. Like I don't think about anybody else.
True.
Because
you're right.
Because I go like okay, you have kids in a house, but like, is it great for you?
Right.
Like, okay, you may be ahead of me in those areas, or financially, or like you're showing that you're more mature than I am, or whatever it is. But it's like, all right, is everything else good though? And even then, I'm like, and even if it is, it's like, okay, go ahead.
That's why I said I don't want you to bring up money, because money is so
fluctuating, kind of.
Well, it's like you don't, like we said, you don't know what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Are they hugely in debt?
Sure.
Are they using credit cards for everything? Do they have an expensive card that they owe so much money on?
Yeah.
And have no assets?
So I guess
it goes back to my original thing for the younger person. Are you investing? Are you planning for the future?
Or is it somebody who's driving around a shit beater and they actually have like $50,000 in
correct
whatever?
I guess if you put it that way, like, what are my core pillars and values that I decided years ago? Am I staying true to those core values? And am I continuing to build upon that? Yes. Like, I haven't wavered in what has been important to me.
Yeah.
Like, I continue to work hard. I think fitness and health has always been important to me, and I think I've done that, and then even furthermore, like, dove into it even more and expanded into that. Creating an awesome relationship, that was really important to me, to like have that moving into the later aspects of life, of like, I want to have a very stable foundation before I bring kids into the picture. So I think I'm setting that up. So I would say yes, the things that were specifically important to me that I had set up, that I decided that I wanted to work on, secure on, yes, I'm doing that.
And that was part B of my question, was where do you feel as a couple? But you just answered it, you both did.
A+.
We've got the foundation. Like you just said in your answer to people your own age. This is where you build the foundation and the pillars of your life. And I think you guys have done that and are continuing to build that foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's maybe where the adjustment has been built over the years, as we were building, like, you had your pillars, I had mine, we were continuing to build those, and that's like, okay, how do we
move them closer together to make
closer together, and like, if we're going to create a whole new system that's going to work for kids coming into the picture, or us like building a life together, what pillars do we both care about, and then working with that. So yeah, I would say out of anything in life, that is
that's probably the thing we're doing the best at.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out a better way to say that, but sure, I guess if you want to be cocky about it.
I would agree.
Well, I just mean like in our own lives, is what I was talking about.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I guess it depends on, are we doing better than other people our age? I guess it depends on what they care about.
I would say I don't want to include myself in this, I don't sound cocky, but you guys have come up with great examples of advice you'd give to all age groups, and I think you're following the one specifically of what advice would I give somebody my age. I think you guys are doing that. What you would tell somebody, you're leading by example, and not just like, do this even though I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you guys are putting your money where your mouth is.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope that that's being shown a lot, because I think that's like part of the integrity, I think, with both of us, is like, live what you preach. Like, you don't want to
be fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that,
All right.
All right.
trivia.
Thanks for coming, guys.
This is my podcast now.